Okay. So now we're going to learn how to use a basic loop in PHP, a for each loop. So let's see here. Okay. Now, what we have here is a list of emails, and usually we'd use one of these for loops when we go through a database, but in my series of tutorials I haven't gone through how to use a database yet, and I want to do that before I try to implement it. I don't want to show you guys something that you don't know how to do yet, because these tutorials, they go in order. Okay, now if you remember from my previous video, we are going to get each one of these elements from here. We have data box 1, 2, 3, all the way up, and we want to eliminate. We're going to create an array of emails, but there's one we want to get rid of. We don't want it, and it's this one, bad guy at Evo website. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, okay, our PHP, well, first, what is this? Here we have a function. What function is this? Well, this is one I wrote, and you're going to write lots of functions in PHP. And when you write a function, you just include the keyword function, and then the name. We'll call it any name you want. Okay, and it might take some parameters. Okay. But it might not take some parameters. You don't have to put parameters in there if you don't want to. Okay, and then you perform some actions, right? That's all there is to it. Well, almost. And this, unless I call this function, nothing will happen. As you know, as my PHP page loads, it first starts here, and it goes down, down, down. Now, this won't execute yet because it hasn't been called. All right, the flow of control goes down my page. Here it finds another function. It won't execute this yet because it hasn't been called. So how do we call a function? We call it just by naming it. Here's my function, clean my emails. It takes a parameter. Okay. And so here it is where I call it. But, okay, so it's coming down through my page, and it says, okay, if this is a post request, which it is, then we start executing some code. So I create an array, and this is how we create an array. We just make this statement here. Okay, we have it. Now, how do we add an element to an array? Okay, how do we, if we want to add values to each boxcar, right? We have all these boxcars, right? And we want to put things in them. This is the way we do it in PHP. We take the name of the array, and we have a square bracket open and a square bracket closed. Okay, and then we just put in it, we use the assignment operator. Usually you call it an equal sign, but here it's assignment operator. Data box 1, we put it there. Data box 2, we put it there. And PHP will naturally be assigning numbers. Remember, this is going to be 0. I could put 0 here if I wanted, but I don't need to. Okay? And this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, or well, this will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Okay. Now we've got an array, and it's got 6 emails in it. Now we call our function, and we pass to it our array. Now, when we use the array here, we don't have to put these square brackets. So we call my function. Flow of control will come back up here, come through. Now I've created a variable, I call it clean list, and I created another variable, an integer, okay, an integer, and I started it at 0. Now we're into our for each loop. Okay. Now I like to think of a for each loop as this way. Here's our boxcar array, right? Our train, right? And what we want to do is we want to loop through each one of the boxcars in turn, okay? So what a for each loop does is it says something like this: for each element in this array as email. Now what is this as? I like to think of it this way: for each element in whatever array, this array, and here we call it email array, call each element, and here we put something, okay? And here we called it email. All right? So each time it's going to loop around like this. First it's going to go to the first boxcar, then the next boxcar, and so on. Okay? Until it's all the way finished. Now, inside of our loop, I'm going to create a test. And I'm going to say, if on the first loop, where are we? We're here at emails array right there, okay, on the first one. And on the second loop, we'll be on this one, okay? And so on and so forth up until we finish. So for each one of these emails, for each element, I'm going to test, is it bad guy at Evo website, right? Okay, now if this were over on the user's computer, on some user, we don't know what they're entering, right? Now again, usually we do this in a database, but I just want to show you how to use a loop. So if this is true, then it will execute this code. If it's not true, it'll just, all right, that's fine. It'll go through. It'll continue. Now, if it finds that it's true, what I want to do is delete that element. I want to delete that boxcar. If I find, oh, this one has the bad email in it, I want to delete it. So we can use this function called unset. And unset will delete a part of an element in an array. We call an element, each one of these, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, each one of those is called an element. Okay? So here, we had this at 0, right? Let's see here. Oh, we need to do one other thing. We need to come down here and I equals I plus 1. Okay, so now it's 0. All right, it comes through. So now it checks what is this? This is actually a 0, right? Even though we've put in I, and I is normally, it's traditional for us to refer to a counter variable as I. It's just everyone does it, so it's normal. Okay? And, all right, so if 0, what is 0 here? 0 will be this David, right? And so it won't uncheck it. But then it comes down here, whoops, and it increases it by 1. Okay? And so it will go back up and I is 0, but now it's added 1 to it, and so now it's at 1. And if it contains this email, we already know that it's at 1, so then it will unset it, and it will just continue to loop through, and this counter variable will do what we call, it will increment, which means that it will go up by 1 because we're adding 1, okay? So it's going to check each element in the array, okay? Now, if you need to think about that for a minute or kind of digest it, you need to digest it, okay? Because this is a pretty important part. You'll use this technique over and over. So now we've got our array, and we've unset or deleted that particular element that contained the thing we didn't want. Now we're going to create another loop, and we're just going to create a neat clean list, and we're going to say the clean list equals clean list, and then we're going to add the email, and we're going to say ready for sending, and then we're going to insert a line, and that'll just continue to go through what are now the clean emails. Okay, and so there's our clean list, and then at the end of our function we have this return. Now return will send back a variable back to the point of execution in our code at exactly where we called it. So that's here. So it gets called here, it goes up to the function, does its business, and then it returns that variable here, and it will come over, boom, 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 and assign it to result. Okay, and then the flow of control, the flow of execution in your program will continue on down the page. Result has been set to that long string all the way down here, and then we're going to echo it out. Okay, so let's try. Okay, so it said David, Gmail ready for sending, Jane, another site ready for sending, and sure enough, the bad guy email has been deleted. Okay, now what we could do, if we wanted to be really tricky, we could do this. We can use a function here, and that is this function. Let's say that we wanted to get rid of any email that was in this domain, evowebsite.com. It could be from john@evowebsite.com, david@evowebsite.com, any email from this evowebsite.com, right? So what we could do, any email from there, what we could do is we could use this function here. It's called string position. And the first argument, again, this is a PHP built-in function, so I'm not writing it myself. I'm not creating it. It's just naturally in there. The first parameter is the string we're looking for, and that is evilwebsite.com. And the second one is the string we're searching for it in. That's the email. Okay. All right. So now this function will look in the email and try to find this anywhere in that string. Okay, anywhere in that string. So it doesn't matter if it's David@evowebsite.com or if it's John@evowebsite.com. What this will do is it says, look anywhere inside this string, okay, because it's a string, for this evil website, and if you find it, return the position. Okay, so what if this was William at Eva website? So this string, how long is it? How many characters? 1, 2. Well, it would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So this one would be at position 9. Actually, it's 8 because this is also 0 based, but it doesn't matter. Now, if it doesn't, this particular function, if it doesn't find this string in this string, it will return false. Okay? So essentially, if this returns false, then our unset will get skipped. Okay? So this way we can check any email from this website. Okay? So let's say we have dave@gmail.com, will@gmail.com, hello@hotmail.com, superbadguy@evilwebsite.com, and me@you.com, hello@another.com. And so, whoops, what happened? Just a second. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I got this mixed up. Whoops. So here it's email. It searches this, and it searches for this string here. I got it mixed up. Okay. All right. So if it was, let's see, if we had hello at mydomain.com. Okay, new you. Okay, well, what if we just said okay, bad guy at evilwebsite.com, hello at and okay, so you can see it cleaned out, despite whatever email was attached to that domain, it just got rid of it. And so all these are ready for sending, and the other one was cleaned out. Okay. So you may think to yourself, oh, well, that's kind of weird. That's kind of strange. Why do you use a function like that? Isn't there something else that will automatically do it? Well, this is called bootstrapping. Okay? This kind of practice is extremely common in programming. So you may feel it's strange, but don't feel it's strange, because this sort of way of getting things done is very, very normal. And as time goes on, you will figure out and think of lots of creative, fun ways to do things like that. Okay? And remember, there's always more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to skin a cat. That's an old saying there. Okay.